Hi guys, and welcome to the third video of our indices module. So if you guys have not actually gone back and taken notes in the first video by Fanny Lake and in the second video by Ofente, I would urge you guys to actually go back, watch those videos if you haven't, and actually take notes because it's actually going to be very important with the videos moving forward, including this video as well. So if you guys didn't take notes and you're not 100% clear on what the two previous videos were about, please do go back, check out those videos first, and then start with this video. Let's get straight into it, guys. So in this video, we'll actually go into 5 subtopics. The first subtopic that we're going to get into is lot sizing. What exactly is lot sizing? And how do we basically understand, or how are we understanding what our lot sizing is? The next topic we'll go into is margin. So we'll discuss margin and basically how your margin affects your lot sizing. The third topic we're going to go into is leverage. We're going to discuss the leverage and as well as how leverage affects your margin and your ability to basically use the lot sizing that you would like to use. The fourth topic that we're going to get into is basically doing calculations on how we calculate the point value of the indices that we're going to be trading. So from pips to points. And the last subtopic that we're going to get into is essentially our risk to reward ratio and basically what the long-term effects are of having a good strategy with a good risk to reward ratio incorporated into your trading plan. Okay guys, so we're going to get into the first subtopic, which is lot sizing. So if you guys have been trading for a while, you do understand that the basics of lot sizing is basically either using micro lots to trade, mini lots, or full standard lots. So we're actually going to get into what a micro lot is, what a mini lot is, and what a standard lot is. So a micro lot essentially is when we use 0.01 as our lot size. Mini lot is when we use 0.1 as our lot size, and a full standard lot is one full standard lot, which also we could say 1.0. So that's essentially our lot sizing. Now the important thing about this lot sizing is actually understanding what lot sizing actually means. So a micro lot is actually 1,000 shares, or is worth 1,000 units of whichever currency you're trading, whether you're trading dollars, Canadian dollars, Kiwi, whatever currency, rands. 0.01 is basically 1,000 units of currency. So that's how much you're controlling, that's how many units of currency you're controlling when you do open a position with one micro lot. So that's 1,000 units of currency. One mini lot is essentially 10,000 units of currency, which would equate to whichever currency you're trading. 10,000 units would give you one mini lot. One full standard lot is actually 100,000 units of currency. So a lot of people would then ask the question is, how do I, with my $100 account, manage to trade, for example, 10,000 units of currency? And the answer to that question actually leads us into the second topic, which is margin. Okay guys, so we are on the second subtopic of this video. So just to recap on the first subtopic, we did go over lot sizing. Now just keep in mind guys, all of the topics that we're going to discuss in this video are all interrelated and they are all equally important. So we need to actually drive home the understanding behind all of these subtopics. So just to recap guys, we did speak about the position sizing and how many units your position size equals to. So 0.01 is a micro lot, and a micro lot is equal to 1,000 units of currency. Your 0.10 is a mini lot, and your mini lot is equal to 10,000 units of currency. And your full standard lot is one full lot, and that is equal to 100,000 units of currency. So that's actually going to be important as we go into your margin. Now, what is your margin actually? A margin is essentially a down payment that your broker keeps to allow you to keep your position open. So what happens when you open a position? Let's say we are opening a position and we're using one mini lot. So we're opening a position at 0.10 and let's say we're buying whatever we're buying. Now, to actually open this position, our broker will require something called a margin. Now, a margin is a percentage that is calculated based on whatever the broker is. Different brokers have different percentage amounts that they require, basically different percentages that they require their margin to be, or the margin that you need to put up to hold your position open. So what we would just use, just for a hypothetical example, we'd say that our broker requires, for example, $6 of margin for you to have this 0.10 or a 1 milli lot position open. So let's say your broker requires $6 and you, for example, have maybe $5 in your trading account. Now, with $5 and your broker requiring $6 for you to actually keep a position of 1 mini lot open, obviously your broker won't allow you to actually open that position. And if you wanted to open a position, maybe you'd have to use, for example, 1 micro lot, which is 0.01, and that obviously controls 1,000 units of currency. So you'd either have to drop your lot sizing, or you have to increase your capital in your account to cover the margin costs that your broker requires for you to actually have that position open. Okay guys, so now we're going to get into how to actually calculate the margin that is required from your broker to open a particular position with a specific lot size. So now, let's just say, for example, we wanted to open a position with our broker using 1 mini lot. So remember, 1 mini lot is 0.10, which equates to 1,000 units of whatever we're trading. So we are opening one position with the lot size of 0.1. I think this is a bit dark, but we are opening a position at 0.1, which is 1 mini lot. And 1 mini lot, as we discussed, is actually 10,000 units of currency. Now, let's say, for example, your broker requires a margin of 5% for every position that you hold. So what we would do is we would then take 0.01, 1 mini lot, which equals 10,000 shares, and we would divide that 10,000 shares by 5%. So 10,000 shares divided by 5%. 5% is obviously 5 over 100. So we're not going to go so deep into this mathematics, guys, but basically 5% of 10,000 would be 500 bucks. So your broker would require you to actually have at least $500 in your account, or your broker would require you to put up $500 for you to actually have this position at 0.10 lots open. Now let's actually go into a slightly different example, and let's say that we wanted to open a position with our broker for 1 micro lot. Now 1 micro lot is 0.01, which is actually equal to 1,000 units of currency. So 1,000 units of currency, that's what we're doing. And let's say our broker requires us to put a 3% or offer a 3% margin on our position sizing. So now what we do is we say 1,000 divided by 3%, which is obviously 3 over 100, and that will equal $30 for us to actually have this position open. So our broker would then require us to put down a margin of $30 for us to have this particular trade open. I hope that makes a lot of sense, guys. I hope that you guys actually saw how we calculate margin, and also what your broker, you will be able to use this to calculate what your broker will require, or exactly how much margin your broker will require you to put up on your side when you're opening a particular size with a particular trade with a particular lot size. Because remember, guys, that when there's no trade that we're going to open that doesn't require a lot size, and there's no trade that's going to open that doesn't require a margin. Now, the only thing that you'll have to find out on your part is what percentage does your broker need or require as margin. Now, just to recap what margin is, a margin is a down payment that your broker takes from you. That money that the broker has taken from you is closed money. You cannot use it. It cannot be used. So once you've actually put down your down payment of $30, a lot of us have been in situations where we get something called a margin call. Now, all a margin call is essentially once your account or the funds in your account have reached your available margin that you have for that position. Like, let's say we open this with a $100 account, and our $100, we open one position at 0.01 with that $100 account. Our broker required us to put $30 of revenue down as our margin, and obviously the broker takes the other end of that position. So I offer my $30, the broker also puts down $30. Obviously that's what a marginalized account is, and we're all trading margin accounts slash leverage accounts. We're all trading using margin and leverage. So essentially we offer a portion of the amount, the broker offers the other portion. If our account eventually ends up getting to $30. So our position that we opened is in minus, it's in drawdown, and eventually we end up with an equity of $30. What will happen is our broker will automatically close all of the positions to free up margin. Now, the broker doesn't close our positions because we don't have margin. Yes, that's the reason why, but the real intention behind why they close those positions is to try and free up available margin. Now remember, this $30 that you had is untouched, unused money, cannot be used. So when you do get to $30 and your broker does close all of your positions, how much would you have left in your account? You would have $30. And the reason why you would have $30 is obviously because your broker is waiting for you to get to your margin call before closing your account. Now, in addition to that, what the broker is trying to do is the broker is trying to safeguard themselves from actually paying from their own money. Because, for example, if they didn't require you to put down a margin, which is in our case this $30, what would happen is your position would continue in a negative, in a drawdown, way beyond the available funds, which is our margin requirement, way beyond that available fund, way beyond our available funds, and eventually the broker would be in a negative, and the broker actually would have to pay back the market the money that essentially has been minus, or that the money, or the market that is, or the money rather, sorry, my mistake, the money that has actually made our accounts go into a negative or into a drawdown. So guys, important things to note from this subtopic number 2 is that essentially our margin is a down payment. A margin call is when our account has reached our margin value or the amount that the broker is requiring. The broker will then close our accounts because they essentially want to free up, or they are trying to free up our funds to essentially create more margin for us to keep trading. So they eventually close our account. And just one thing to go forward with how we calculate our margin and all of that stuff is that you essentially need to do these calculations. For example, if you're trading a specific indice or whatever, and you want to understand if you will be able to open, for example, a lot size of 0.11 with your particular broker, you would need to do this calculation, find out how much percentage your broker wants you to put down as a margin. You do the calculations and you'll see the minimum amount that you need in your account to be able to open a position with a lot sizing of whichever lot size you prefer to open. Okay guys, so we are on the third subtopic of this video, which is leverage. So we're actually going to go into what leverage is exactly and how can we use leverage to our advantage, and as well as how leverage is both a positive and as well as a negative. So what leverage is exactly? Leverage is a multiplication of your buying or selling ability. Yeah. So margin is essentially a multiplication of your buying or selling capabilities. So what do we mean by margin is a multiplication of our buying or selling capabilities? Now let's say we are opening a position with a lot size of 0.01. Now we understand that 0.1 equates to 1,000 units of currency. Now let's say our broker is offering us, for example, a leverage of 1:100. What this would mean is that the broker is willing to multiply our units of currency that we are able to control with 0.01 by 100. Now, simple maths, this just means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All this means is that, in a sense, our broker is willing to multiply our ability to buy and sell 1,000 shares by 100. So now our buying capability is now we're able to control 1 million shares with the leverage of 1:100. So for example, if our broker then offered us a leverage of 1:50, all that would do is multiply the unit of currency that we're able to buy or sell by 50. So in a sense, 50 times 1,000 obviously equals 500,000. 500,000. So now our buying capability has increased all the way to 500,000 from only being able to control 1,000 units of currency. So that's in a sense what leverage is. Leverage multiplies your buying or selling capability. Now I'm actually going to explain to you guys how does leverage, margin, and our lot sizing all coincide with each other. So how our leverage, our margin, and our lot sizing all coincide with each other, with all those things being a factor of important risk management, this is how they actually coincide. So let's say that we had a particular account. Let's say we had $1,000 account, $1,000 in our account. Now, we want to be able to open, for example, let's just say one standard lot size. So 1.0 lots. So we're using a 1.0 lot, which is obviously one full standard lot. And that one full standard lot equates to 100,000 units of currency. Now, based on the calculations that I showed you guys on how to calculate our margin, let's say that our broker requires us to put down a margin of, let's just say, for example, of $1,000 to be able to open one full standard lot. Now, how do we actually play with leverage to be able to open these positions? By not changing our account size and not changing, obviously we have no effect on how much percentage the broker requires from us as margin. So all we do is we essentially use the leveraging power that the broker has given us by offering us different values of leverage. So what we can do is we can choose the option of our broker giving us the leverage of 1:100, and essentially what we will be doing is multiplying our buying or selling power by 100. What this will do to our leverage, this will actually decrease the leverage that is required from us by the broker. The reason why the leverage, or sorry, the reason why the margin actually decreases is because our leverage is increasing. We have more buying power. So us having or using this same leverage will be equivalent to us having, for example, we multiply our $1,000 account by 100, that is equal to $100,000. So in a sense, our buying and selling ability is equal to an account the size of $100,000 using a leverage of 1:100. So in a sense, we've increased our buying power by using leverage, and we've also decreased the amount of margin that the broker requires as a down payment to have this one lot position open on our side. So I hope that this has actually been informative to you guys. I know the first three subtopics are full of numbers, guys. It can get very confusing at some point in time. But if you guys are taking notes and are following attentively right through with me, you guys definitely will understand how to use the process of lot sizing, margin, and leverage to your advantage to actually make the most out of the positions that you are able to open, and the positions that you're not able to open, this will actually give you the ability to capitalize on those positions with your small accounts. Hey guys, so welcome to the fourth subtopic of this video. And the fourth subtopic, we're basically going to go into calculating our pips, or rather transferring our pips or the pip count to points. So we understand that indices are obviously, like the first two videos have explained to you, like the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ 100 is basically a composite of the best performing 100 tech companies in the US. So we know that companies are obviously calculated and traded using shares and not units of currencies. So that's what this whole conversion is about, of changing pips to points. We're essentially changing the way we calculate our normal pips, which is a unit used for basically calculating movement in currencies. We are changing that and basically translating it into points, which is the unit of measurement that we use to calculate indices. So one pip is worth, or rather at 0.10 lots, one pip is worth $1. So we would write that as $1. Now, translating pips to points is super simple. You could go on the internet and you could find a whole lot of other things, other methods, but this is literally the simplest method that you guys can use. Whatever your pip count whatever your pip count is, you literally just multiply that by 10 to get your point value. Now let's say we wanted to open this position, for example, on a currency. We would then know that 0.01 would equate to $1 per pip. Now what do we do to calculate the exact same thing on indices? We multiply by 10. So 0.10 multiplied by 10 would give us one standard lot, and one standard lot would then equate to $10 worth, or $10 per point. So in a sense, what we get when we're executing 0.01 on indices, we are literally getting the multiplication times 10, which would equate to our price. Where's this erasing thing? Let me just erase this and make it a lot more clear for you guys. So for example, guys, we have, let's just give a hypothetical example. We have a 10-point stop loss on our position. We want to open this position on NASDAQ and we want to buy using 0.01. So how would we then calculate what our value in money would be for this 10-point stop loss on NASDAQ? So what we would then do is we understand that 0.01 is 10 cents per pip. On our currencies, normally it's 10 cents per pip. So what all we do is we know that it's 0.10 cents a pip. All we do is we just multiply our 10 cents per pip by 10. So it's 10 cents a pip times 10. That equates to $1. So all we're doing is just multiplying our pip value by 10, and that will equate to us what our point value is. So for this 10-point stop loss, essentially, if every pip would be worth 10 cents on indices, if every pip would be worth 10 cents on currencies, every pip on or every point on our indices would be worth $1. So with this 10-point SL, what we would be risking is essentially $10. If this was a position opened on currencies, our risk would, with this 10 point stop loss, our risk would equal to $1. So you can see the difference between calculating risk on our currencies versus calculating risk on indices. You just multiply your pip value by 10, and that will give you the value per point on your currency, on your indices, We are finally at the last subtopic of this video, which is titled risk to reward ratio. And essentially, we're going to be going into what risk to reward ratio is and what are the long-term effects of practicing a good risk to reward ratio or incorporating a good risk to reward ratio into your trading system. So a risk to reward ratio basically measures the amount or the percentage that we plan to risk versus the amount or the percentage that we plan to make if this trade does go in our direction. So our risk versus our reward. So if you've been with the chasers for a while, you know that we always trade with a minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3. Now I'm actually going to explain what that means and how we use it to our advantage. So all trading with a risk to reward ratio of 1:3 would mean that if we were risking 1% of our account, our targets, our minimum targets to make on this particular trade would be 3%. So we are risking 1% to make 3%. Now, how this helps is that if we do the maths, now let's say we have a sample size of 10 positions. So for each of these 10 positions, we're going to risk 1% to make 3%. Now let's say our strategy only has a win rate of 30%. Now, which means that we lose 7 trades in a row. So we're down minus 7% and we only win the last 3 trades. So 3 times 3 is obviously 9. So by winning 3 trades, we have 9%. The 7 trades that we lost, plus the 9 trades that we won, plus the 3 trades that we won, which gave us a percentage of 9%, equate to a positive return of 2%. So with a good risk to reward ratio, minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3, you could literally lose 7 of your 10 positions and only win 3 and still be 2% in profit. Now this is obviously the power, just simple illustration of the power of having a good risk management plan. Now the long-term benefits of having a risk management plan is that the risk management plan actually covers you for those periods of drawdown. Like remember in our example, what we mentioned is we lost 7 trades in a row. Now because we understand that we are traders and we trade using probability, we don't know which trades are going to win. We don't know which trades are going to lose. That is all up to probability. The market is random. And we essentially just put the probabilities on our side by looking for all of the confluence factors that have been mentioned in the previous 2 videos. So in a sense, guys, if we're going through a period of drawdown where market conditions are probably not conducive for our strategy and we're just losing one way, we could lose 7 trades in a row and only win 3 trades and still end up profitable. So having a good risk to reward ratio essentially covers us for those periods of drawdown. We don't know when those periods are going to be, but I can guarantee you every trader goes through a dry spell, a period of drawdown where their account is just not doing well and maybe they're just having like a negative week or a negative month or whatever. But having this good, well-structured, good risk to reward ratio, minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3, essentially covers you for those periods. And for example, if you are not covered by those periods, having a good risk to reward ratio would mean that you could lose or you could go through a losing streak and make up your whole losing streak just from the next three positions that you open. So that is essentially the long-term power of having a solid risk to reward ratio when you're opening these positions on your indices, whether it's currencies, indices, no matter what you're trading, guys, we always want to trade with a solid risk to reward ratio of 1:3 at minimum. So guys, I really appreciate your time in actually making it to the end of this video. And I hope that this video was actually valuable, that you actually got a whole lot of information from this video. And I also hope you are taking notes so that you'll be able to recall the information and actually go and implement this information in your own trading plan. Stay tuned for the next few videos that will follow in this course. And I hope you have a great lesson or learning session.